Good evening. Welcome to Elyria City Council meeting for Monday, June the 2nd, 2025. At this time, we'll take a moment of reflective silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, at this time, I'd like to have our young residents come up here. Come up here and stand up on the red carpet. All those who are wanting to join. Very good. All right. What I would do is I ask you to lead us in the pledge over here, the Pledge of Allegiance. When you're ready, everyone ready? Would you lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much for coming. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please put their phones to the silent mode or off out of respect for the council meeting here tonight. Ms. Clerk, have roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Sierra. Here. Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Mr. Oswald.
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Tollett.
Here.
Mr. Lippian.
Here.
Mrs. Sawerka.
Here.
Mrs. Davis.
Here.
Mr. Schneider.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
All present.
Do we have any public hearings?
There are none.
Can I give, do we have approval?
No,
of
we
minute-
don't.
No minutes?
No minutes tonight, please.
We'll get it at the next meeting.
Yep.
Remarks and reports from city officials. Mayor Brubaker.
President. I have a couple things this evening. The first one, if Carrie wants to come forward. So Councilman Chad Schneider reached out to us several weeks ago about First Congregational's preschool and Ms. Hebel and the fact that this year is their last year of providing that service, and they had their final graduation back on May 16th. So I'm going to read a proclamation, and thanks to Councilman Schneider and Annie Karstoffen for helping putting this together. So if you'll bear with me. Proclamation honoring First Congregational UCC Preschool and Mrs. Carrie Hebel. The First Congregational United Church of Christ Preschool, established in 1950, has faithfully served the children and the families of Elyria for 75 years, providing a nurturing and enriching early childhood education environment in the heart of downtown Elyria. And whereas this preschool was the first cooperative preschool in Elyria, partnering with Elyria City Schools to establish a kindergarten program in the district, and it made a lasting positive impact on downtown Elyria by significantly contributing to the kindergarten readiness across the region. And whereas Mrs. Carrie Hebel has dedicated 37 years of distinguished service in pre-K education, including the last 20 years serving the Elyria community through her leadership, care, and unwavering commitment to early childhood education at the First Congregational UCC Preschool. And whereas the preschool held its final graduation ceremony on May 16th, 2025, marking the conclusion of a remarkable legacy of educational excellence and community service. Now therefore, I, Kevin A. Brubaker, the Honorable Mayor of the City of Elyria, do hereby recognize and honor First Congregational UCC Preschool and Mrs. Carrie Hebel for their extraordinary contributions to the children, families, and the future of our community. Their impact will be remembered and cherished for generations to come. Thank you. And thank you to all the folks from the ECC that were here this evening. The second thing, and then I'll go back over to my normal places, as I stated over the weekend that I have Steve Christian here from Loomis Fiber that's going to give you about a 3-minute overlay of their fiber and then bring them back maybe in August for a more formal presentation. But Steve, if you want to come forward, please.
Mayor, my name is Steve Christen. The address is 72 Morning View Circle in Canfield, Ohio. Who remembers what they were doing 45 years ago? Well, I can tell you what I was doing. 45 years ago, I was coming to Elyria. I was going to Bowling Green, and I was dating a girl from Elyria. The last name was Kelly. I don't see her anymore. I don't see the family anymore, but I have fond memories of Elyria. So the reason I'm here is what we want to do is we want to talk to you about what's going on in the industry. And I spent about 40 years in the broadband industry with IBM, AT&T, most recently the broadband coordinator for Eastgate Regional Council of Government. And the challenge we have in the U.S. is we need more broadband, and the challenge we have in Ohio is we need it even more so. If you look at the state of Ohio ranks in the bottom third of houses that have availability of fiber. And when you think of what's going on in the industry, as we go to cloud computing, we go to teleconferencing, telemedicine, even your day-to-day activities, it's all about the technology. And so back in August, when I was working with Eastgate, doing broadband consulting work, a company out of North Carolina came to me, and they said, hey, we want you to come work for us, and let us tell you all about us. And so we talked for a while, and I came on board. We announced our first entry into Ohio back in July. Since then, we've expanded to 9 other states. And why is that important? A lot of people talk about selling fiber, but I think the key is what makes Lumos different, and I'd be more than happy to, as the mayor said, to come back in August and talk to you more about it. If you look on the handout, that second sheet, this is what really stands out about Lumos Fiber. We over-communicate, and over-communicate. So I tell people, I'm on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the city of Canfield, and the last thing I want is a resident to call me up, ask about something that's happening in the city, and me not know anything about it. That happens time and time and time again. And so what Lumos does is we do things differently. We over-communicate. The fact is that I'm here tonight. Not only am I here, I also brought George and Doug. And George actually heads up an organization. His whole role is to deal with construction relationships. And George came in tonight, and he's actually from North Carolina, works in Ohio, but he came in tonight just off from the airport a few hours ago. And then Doug used to work for another provider here in Elyria and was heavily involved for about 40 years in the IT situation here in the city of Elyria. So I say that is because our role is different than your typical provider. We're here because we want to help service the people, service the citizens. We only sell fiber to the home. We're not looking for government work. We're not looking for enterprise. And we're excited because nowadays you really cannot survive without a strong fiber connection. So I gave you a handout, talks a little bit about Lumos, a little bit about the benefits of fiber, what makes us different, and then the construction, that second page, note the steps that we take in terms of notifying customers. 80% of our work is usually underground, and so what we do is before we even put a shovel in the ground, we send mail out. You'll see mail out to residents, let them know we're coming. We also have door hangers, we have the yard darts, and we have sandwich boards. And what makes those different, if you look close, there's an 800 number on it. That 800 number is not a sales number. That 800 number goes to George's organization, and it's all about construction. When residents have a question, what's taking place, what's going on, what is this, what are you doing to my yard? Tell me about the right-of-way. Because I think the biggest thing we learned, and I learned this and through other companies too, is we have to keep the customers happy when we go in to build their fiber, because they're not going to buy from us, right? It makes sense. So I don't know, Mayor, how much, if we want to do any questions and answers. You all have my cards. You can call me. I'm willing to stick around, but I just wanted to briefly introduce myself, and you'll see us. We'll be back. Maybe it's in August timeframe or September to talk a little bit more. Any questions?
Any questions from the council in regards to this? Very good. Mayor, did you want to say anything more?
No, we've been talking, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, for the last couple months communicating, and today was just an introduction. I've shared that information with you, and I look forward to bringing them back later in the summer, 1st of September, with more detailed information, and I'll make sure we get more information out to you as well. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
thank
coming, I
you.
appreciate that.
And the last item that I have tonight, Mr. President, is actually exciting. So over the weekend, I had multiple conversations and meetings with Councilman Lippian, Councilman Tolet, and Mr. Reeser from DBR to try to get to some middle ground on the development agreement. As we all know, the hangup was primarily the assignment agreement. And after meeting for a number of hours yesterday with Mr. Lippian and Mr. Reeser, we came to what I feel is an achievable, acceptable development agreement on the assignment language. That information was sent to our law side, Russ and Law Director Deary, late last night. They had a chance to review it today in my meetings with Finance Director Pileski as well as Law Director Deary. Law Director Deary has shared with me that the amendment agreement is something they can live with. So we're ready to move on that. There are, to caution, there are some things within the development agreement that need to be tweaked and adjusted. There's some dates in there that Director Pileski is a little worried about. Of course, that was from an original development agreement, but I think we're in a good place. I do want to thank Councilman Tolet and Councilman Lippian for their help and support, and obviously the Reeser Group. But Mr. President, what I would ask, due to the timing of this and to give the law director and our legal team an opportunity to not only work on a development agreement, but potentially the TIF, is to have I'd ask that you have a strategic planning meeting on June 30th, prior to, obviously, a week before the July 7th council meeting, and with the expectation or hope Friday we have the quorum here that we would take a vote that night to move forward with this, and hopefully we can have both of those ready for you, the development agreement as well as the TIF agreement on the 30th in order to vote on it full-time on the 7th. So this is great news for the city. This is obviously a contentious subject. And again, I appreciate all the parties for coming together to try to get this done, as well as Law Director Deary and Russ for taking the opportunity to review this information today. So thank you, and that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. In regards to what's being proposed by the mayor, please check your schedules to see if June the 30th would work for everybody. And then as far as the time-wise as well, we generally would do that at 7, but maybe we could do that at a 6 o'clock meeting, just because it might be a lot of discussion that would have to take place over and through there with that. So if you can let me know or the council clerk's office know, so that we can kind of coordinate that with the outside legal counsel to make sure that's confirmed. And I guess we would have to confirm with our legal counsel as well. Ms. Sawerka?
Mr. Lippian was first. Mr. Lippian had his hand up.
Mr. Lippian?
Thank you, Ms. Sawerka. And through you, Mr. President, I would just really like to credit Mayor Brubaker and Mr. Reeser. When I made the phone call Saturday and on a whim asked if the two of them would be willing to get together for a meeting, I was really heartened at how quickly and how emphatically both of them said, yeah. That was not expected. What also is not expected is once we sat down at the table, they were conducting themselves with perfect harmony. And it was a wonderful opportunity to see that these two men, in that moment, were bigger than the tumults of our times, the tumults surrounding all of this. And I would just really like to say that I applaud both of them in coming to the table together. And it was a real pleasure, and I'm glad that there has been a workable compromise, and I look forward to seeing that workable compromise come on June 30th, and I look forward to being there to be part of that for a vote. So thank you also to the law director as well. It's very heartening to hear that the parties can come together and can find a way to move forward amicably. And that's what we all want to see. Thank you.
Thank you through you. Certainly, we all want to hear the compromise and be, educated on everything, and that's great news. And I would hope that the talk or the proposal of having a fire station in that area can get resurrected. I mean, there's over 1,000 homes that are going to be within a very short radius of that property that are either under construction or will be under construction, and so we really do need to think about that, and hopefully that can get interwoven into the conversation once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Swerka. Is anybody else? Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President, and anybody can chime in on this. So in those talks that you guys had, was there anything to say that they would drop a lawsuit against the city and the council people? Does anybody know that answer, or was that not discussed?
It was discussed, as well as the fire department, and we'll let that come out on June 30th.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Very good. Thank you. Safety Service Director, Mr. Pinowski.
I don't have anything to report this evening, Mr. President, but I'm available for questions. Thanks.
Any questions for the director? Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Mr. President, I just want to send a shout out. Maybe I haven't had an opportunity to go see 10th Street Alley, but the street department did a fantastic job with the equipment that they have. So it just opened up a door to what the possibilities we can do with what we have with the street department when it comes to street repairs. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Lippian?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, I just wanted to really thank Safety Service Director Chris Pinowski and Councilman Brad Armstrong for coming out yesterday to the memorial brick dedication in honor of Harlan P. Chapman, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Marine Corps and Vietnam veteran. This did take place in Ward 1, and it was just really great to see the turnout. So many people came to honor this man who spent 2,700-plus days in the Hanoi Hilton, which is just about the closest thing to hell I think any of us can imagine. So the fact that this man survived that, fought as the first Marine aviator to be shot down in Vietnam, to have endured that and to have come back stronger. He was a real estate appraiser after that and continued working and moved on from the past, is a model. That's a model Elyria citizen right there. And I was honored to be there for the memorial brick dedication. I'm really excited to see the flag go up in his honor at the Elyria football field. And I just wanted to thank those who were able to come for honoring this great American.
Mr. Lippian? Any other questions for Safety Service Director Pinowski? Thank you. Finance Director Plusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we have just about everything posted for May with the exception of a little bit of interest income that we have to record yet. But May was a pretty good month for the general fund. So if you recall, at the last council meeting, I had reported that through April, cash in the general fund had dropped about $890,000 since the beginning of the year. We rebounded in May by close to $600,000. So now we're down $302,700 for the year. The main reason that we had such a good month in May was that we got our annual Regional Income Tax Agency retainer refund. So RITA, Regional Income Tax Agency, they withhold 3% upon collection of income tax, and then they do a calculation for the year, factor in interest income, what have you, so the total cost of collections rather than 3% turned out to be 1.05%. So we received a refund of $679,498. Of that amount, $453,021 was receipted in the general fund. So that's the biggest reason why we bumped up in May. So the big problem still remains the employees' health insurance fund. Just 2.5 years ago, we had over $3 million in the fund. We're down to about $230,000 in that fund. So no pun intended, but the health insurance fund is bleeding cash. The committee did raise the contribution, so that started at the beginning of April, so we'll see how that pans out, but eventually we may have to visit that again, the committee will, and then perhaps even dig into the plan itself and make changes to the plan so it becomes more affordable to the city. So.
Any questions for the Finance Director? Ms. Swerka?
Thank you, through you. Do you know, is the delinquency rate on city income tax, does Rita give you that information on delinquencies?
Yeah, through you, yes, we know that, and we're actually very active with the Law Director's Office on bringing in non-filers, and Regional Income Tax Agency has personnel actually in Muni Court that are handling court cases for non-payers. So we're actively pursuing those individuals.
Any other questions? Thank you. Law Director Deary.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, good evening. Just to piggyback a bit on what the mayor had said, the reason June 30th was thrown out there is I do have confirmation that Attorney Russ Balthus will be available that evening to come in. Also, I did have a preliminary discussion with him earlier this morning. We did have a brief review of the latest draft, and we did mark a few things for comment. He's reached out to DBR's economic development attorney, and I don't know that he's had the chance yet to have a full discussion with them yet, but again, it's still pretty early. So I'm not surprised if he had not yet heard back from him, especially today being Monday. I also, we did, the mayor and I did hear just about noon today from the Port Authority that they would like to explore some options as far as being of assistance as well. And I look at that as positive. It's always good to have options. That wouldn't take the city out of this project. I think it just would be, again, another option to explore. So we will be doing that as well in conjunction with our outside economic development legal counsel as well. And the goal will be to have a final approved as to form draft for you all at that meeting on the 30th. For you to ask any questions that you may have regarding any of the provisions to either Russ or to me that night.
Thank you. I would ask that if you could ask Attorney Siegfried Friedman to be there as well.
Through you, Mr. President, yes, we'll do
Thank
so.
you. Any questions for the Law Director? Good. Leary Police Department. Chief Welsh.
Good evening, Jim Welsh, Elyria Police. It's been 2 months since the promotion. I wanted to give you a brief update on our progress at the Elyria Police Department. When I spoke with you after the promotion, I had several goals in mind. One of them was to reduce violent crime and increase narcotics enforcement. In April, our narcotics and NIU teams conducted a targeted sweep focused on suspects in the city that were distributing fentanyl and methamphetamine. Titled Operation Genesis, it resulted in 20 arrests and significantly disrupted illegal drug activity in the area. One of the other goals was to make our streets and highway safer. We've seen a 5% reduction in motor vehicle crashes, and most notably, a 100% reduction in fatal crashes. We've added a third traffic unit officer, tentatively scheduled him through the rest of 2025, which should reduce that number as well, and it will also reduce our growing number of citizens' complaints for traffic enforcement and yours as well. We are also 100% down in homicides, and we have a 50% decrease in violent crime that have also includes non-fatal shootings. And I attributed that to the direct result of our proactive, data-driven patrol strategies and increased productivity from our narcotics unit and our neighborhood impact unit. We also have sought funding for various ways to gain equipment, manpower, and help reduce overtime. I'm happy to report, Mayor talked about it last council meeting, we received a $65,000 violent crime reduction grant that we will use to supplement manpower and overtime in the neighborhood impact unit. We received a $22,000 Project Safe Neighborhood grant that will allow us to purchase additional LPRs and flock cameras, and a $13,000 grant that have already allowed us to purchase electric bicycles. Once that bicycle unit is operational, we will increase officer presence downtown at special events and use it to support community engagement. We continue to deploy LPRs and 360-degree cameras strategically throughout the city that help us deter crime and aid in investigations while using grant funds to support that. One of the other things I wanted to do was increase staffing. We have offered conditional employment to 3 sworn officers, providing that they complete all the preliminary investigation and pass their fitness tests. They will attend the Cleveland Heights Police Academy at the end of June, which will bring our staffing up to 85. We remain committed to community policing. We just wrapped up our teen driving class over the weekend, which was a huge success. We have the Kerstetter 5K, which is coming up in July, the Apple Festival dunk tank, which we did last year, which was a huge fundraising. It was a good community engagement for the officers to meet and get dunked. The mayor participated in that as well at Apple Fest. And we have our Holiday for Heroes event coming up in December. So I wanted to increase our community engagement. I think we've all done a very good job with that. Lastly, Sergeant Rick Buckway and I are scheduled to attend the CALIA conference. It's in Little Rock, Arkansas, from August 7th through the 10th of 2025. It's the final step of our accreditation process, and I respectfully request approval for us to attend. It's about 900 miles away.
Ms. Mitchell?
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Been a motion by Ms. Mitchell, second by Mr. Sear. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Chief, in the short term that you've been there, you're meeting a lot of goals that you're set there, and I'm sure you're not done with that. So we appreciate your leadership that you're doing and leading the Elyria Police Department to attaining these goals. So keep up the good work. We look forward to hearing more from you and the status of things. Any questions for the chief? Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. President, just comment. You know, you always hear at those speeding tickets are a money grab, but we get the reports back on people slowing down when they got the signs, and we're seeing that 92 to 95 to 98% compliant, which means, of course, safer roads, less accidents. So it does work, and I'm sorry they feel the way that they do, but slow down, it'll be safer on the roads. Thank you.
So I'm actually glad you brought that up. Our traffic crashes have decreased significantly, but so have the tickets that we have written from 2024 to 2025. We wrote 2,800 tickets to this point last year, and we've only written 2,300 this year. So that tells me that either people are starting to obey the laws, or our presence out there is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And you're correct, by the stats on the portable signs that the engineers put up for us, they were all in the mid-90s to high 90s, so it is working.
Ms. Davis?
Through you, Chair. Did you get a lot of complaints about these four-wheelers that's running up and down West River and side streets? I see a lot of that, and it's noticeable like on the weekend, toward the evening time, and I know they're doing it.
Yeah, it's not just there. There's various complaints throughout all the wards in the city. It is difficult for us to address. When they stop, obviously, we'll write them a ticket and we'll impound it. But when it comes to risk versus reward with pursuits, it doesn't really fit our pursuit policy where we're chasing them till the wheels fall off, so to speak. So we're doing our best to try and address that, and that's something I think that these electric bikes can do, and also the neighborhood impact unit. I know there's some issues in some of the parks around town, and that's something that's high on my priority list to make sure. And the motorcycles, dirt bikes, all those vehicles that are driving recklessly, we'll target those in the summer.
Thank you.
Mr. Schneider?
Thank you, Chief, for your update. I noticed you had mentioned you saw some recruits from the Cleveland Heights Police Academy. Are you looking further out for your recruits? Are we still, going through the college, through LCC as well? I was just curious because this is the first time I've ever heard anything about Cleveland Heights.
So I actually went to Cleveland Heights back in 1998. I know I'm dating myself. It's a really good academy. Ideally, we would like to get them into LCC's academy because it's local, and obviously the former chief is the commander there, but it just didn't work out. They only hold 2 academies, one in spring and one in, I think May was the cutoff, and we weren't able to hire based on, the issues with finances. So once we were approved based on partially in part by issue 5 passing, we started looking at what was the closest academy and where we could get them in. So generally, we do try to get LCC. This just happened to work out, and hopefully they'll be there at the end of the month so we can start moving forward with that hiring process.
Thank you.
Ms. Zwerka?
Thank you, through you. You've done a great job. Congratulations. Thank you for the report. I just wondered about the dispatch and how you're doing with that, how they're holding up. I don't know what the tenure is of the dispatchers now, and that's one of the toughest jobs. And just want to make sure that we're paying attention to that crew.
Yeah, we're fully staffed in dispatch. The raises you all approved within the last couple of years really help with our retention. So they seem to be happy. I come in every morning, and they're the first people that I check in with, so no complaints from me or from them that I'm aware of.
Mr. Lipping, did you have something?
Thanks to you, Mr. President. Much of what I wanted to say has already been said. I would just add 2 stop signs. But you have lived up to expectations, Chief. You're doing a hell of a job. And we appreciate everything you and all of Elyria Police Department are doing to keep us safe. Thank you.
Thank you. I added Fairlawn and Stanford this morning, so we'll get that out there for you.
Good man.
Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Mr. President. Chief, I'm very proud of you, and I know what you're doing out there, and especially with the NIU. My first comment, I believe that we need to have another discussion with Officer Thacker because there was problems today with the shooting range, and Mrs. Mitchell can definitely attest to that on her email she sent earlier out. So we need to get it together and have a better discussion on that, I believe. And also, I'm very, very glad because we all know summertime is here, and I'm so glad that you got that money for the NIU because I don't know if most people understand what those officers have to deal with, but I do, and I see what it's doing out there. So very thankful for that. Awesome job. Thank you.
Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. I did send an email today to you and Officer Thacker. It sounded like shotguns going off, but I did hear from Safety Service Director Pianowski, and they are going to start working on the barriers very soon, so hopefully that will help. But I was inside the house.
Yeah, I did follow up with Sergeant Thacker on that. It was, the Sheriff's Department were out there from 8 to noon. It was on the schedule. They have issues with the JVS range is out of service right now, so they asked for assistance to come and use our facility. Obviously, we try and work together with different local neighboring law enforcement agencies because there's things that they provide us as well. So I'm hoping that if we do get the barriers in the buildings that it reduces it, but just remember it is an outdoor range and we're doing our best to just keep on schedule, make sure it doesn't go late. We, Safety Director and Captain Grooms met with some concerned citizens last week, so it is something that we're continuously looking out to keep everybody apprised of what's going on and keep, do our part to make it work, but it is an outdoor range, and unfortunately, that means there's going to be gunfire.
President, through you, and the calendar helps a lot too, because I was able to scroll down and look at the calendar, and I said, oh, the Sheriff's Department's the one doing all the shooting, so that is very helpful as well. I think you find it as well, so thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, chief.
Thanks for your time and support.
Thank you. Elyria Fire Department, Chief Bernesti. Any questions for the chief? Okay. City Engineer, Mr. Schneider. I do have a question for you, though, John. Mr. Schneider has asked this many times in regards to the Burns Road. Do we know where we're at with that as far as the grant would go for that funding of that sidewalk program over there? Has that been?
Well, through you, Mr. President, I was kind of waiting on this for Governor DeWine's office about potentially coming out.
But we'll wait.
Okay.
Let's wait.
Further information to be forthcoming. Mr. Lippy and then Mr. Oswald.
Thank you, through you, Mr. President. I'm glad Mayor Brubaker, and I'm glad you asked that too, President Stewart, because I'm checking on the Safe Routes to School grant. I think that's going into effect next year, right? Which is going to bring some new sidewalks in, et cetera.
Unfortunately, I don't know the particulars on that right now. I do know we applied for it. I'll have to talk with Engineer McKillips to see where we are with that, and we'll have to get back with you.
Yes, we got awarded it a couple years ago, and it's supposed to repair a lot of the sidewalks in Eastern Heights, add crosswalks and things of that nature. It is an award that we received, and I think it's the Safe Routes to School grant is what it's called, and I believe I remember it's supposed to actually go into effect in 2026. That's when it's, so if you could get back to us on that and get us a definitive, now that we're closer to that than we were in 2024, appreciate that. Appreciate you.
Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President. Mr. Snyder, we had talks about Cleveland Street and how it was splitting down the kind of the side of the road, and I thought you were explaining that was going to get repaired, and I've been staying away from Cleveland Street because I know they were down there on Olive, which I don't know what was going on there that they were working, but is that was a state road, and are they handling fixing that? Because they also put that fancy paint on some of the things that are already peeling off. So who checks that and gets back with them? Do they have their own engineer that checks up on that? Thank you.
The Cleveland Street project is our project. The state basically is a mechanism that's in place to help provide funding, but it's essentially is our project. The issue over at Winkles and Cleveland Street, we actually had a sinkhole, 19-foot deep sinkhole that we had to repair. That's why the big plates are out there, and last week we closed it off Thursday and Friday to make those repairs. So that was something unexpected, and it was one of those areas that caused a problem out there. So the other stuff we are actually looking into as well as the other repairs.
Thank you.
Anybody else have? Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. 2025 streets are finally done, and I just want to say thank you, Mr. Snyder, to you and Mr. Forthover and the entire engineering team. We're a little late this year, later than normal for a variety of reasons, but I appreciate your patience with us, and thank you very much.
Any other questions? Mr. Schneider? Thank you, Mr. Schneider.
Thank you.
I think that's everybody here. I don't,
Wastewater.
okay, they're here for, I think, some other reasons.
Oh, okay.
We appreciate that. Yeah, if you want to ask. Okay, very good. Residents' referrals and remonstrances. Item number 1, community development. Item number 2, community development. Item number 3, community development. Item number 4, finance. Item number 5, finance. Item number 6, finance. Item number 7, finance. Item number 8, finance. Item number 9, finance. Items 10 through 11 received and placed on file in the clerk's office. Petitions and remonstrances from the lobby.
We have one, Barbara Radke, 241 Harvard Avenue. Subject is research development.
Good evening. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Radke. My address is 241 Harvard, and as I tell everyone, just like the college, Avenue here in town. I have a few things on my mind, and I guess I want clarification on some issues and some questions answered. The first one that comes to mind is, since they were talking about the streets, I can't understand why Park Avenue, especially from Broad Street down to Princeton, wasn't on the list of streets to be resurfaced. Now, I did question that. I sent a private message on Facebook to my council person, but never got an answer. So I don't think that that's something too hard to answer. If it was an error, fine. Let's correct the error. Get it on the list. We all make errors. The other thing that I'm a little upset with is this Reeser Point stuff, situation, I'll call it. I try to keep up on this, and I think a lot of citizens do. On Mr. Lippion's Facebook page, his city council page, he posted a letter that he had written, letter to the editor. There were 34 questions and responses. None of them were addressed, not one. And I think that they were valid questions. How many children do you expect this to increase Illyria's school system by? Has a study been done to see if there's enough teachers, if there's enough room? Simple things like that. How many people will send their children to Elyria schools? How many people will work in the city limits where we will have a tax gain from it, from their property taxes, whatever? And another question was like, I'm forgetting the initials that it stands for, that bond thing, T something? TIF, is it TIF? Okay, that's what was in my head, but I wasn't sure I was right. That's for 30 years. So another question was, so will the city of Elyria have to wait 30 years before we see any of the property taxes or any benefit to the city from this housing development? In the meanwhile, during those 30 years, will Elyria be responsible for snow clearing, garbage detail, getting children to school? I don't think that those were too hard of questions to ask. So that's that. My next thing, and I have to say, I'm upset. I'm really upset about this last letter to the editor.
Ms. Radke, before you move forward, we have a minute. I'm here, the president over here. We have a 3-minute conversation, comments. So it's okay. You know, at this liberty, we have someone who can make a motion to go ahead and extend your minutes for another 2 minutes.
So am I done?
No. There's a motion to go ahead and extend it. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Okay, one of the
minutes.
very first things, oh, I'm sorry, was that okay for me to talk?
Okay, you have 2 more minutes. Yes, go ahead. You're
Okay.
good. Go ahead.
One of the very first things I do want to address, because as you can see, I have a hard time walking sometimes. I admire Mr. Armstrong because I watch either the next day or I watch it on YouTube, you know, and I have watched him since he took office. At first, he just sat there and took a lot of notes. I respect that. You understood, you had a lot to learn, and you were willing to be quiet and listen and learn. I've seen you around town here or there asking people things, okay? I drive around the city of Elyria. If I got to go to Apple's, I'm going to say, it's a nice day. Let me drive around a little bit more. I can see improvements in your ward. And I really feel that that's because you have connected with the people of your ward. And I highly commend you for that. And I hope you continue to try to stay in office in your ward. So thank you, Mr. Armstrong. The other thing is this latest letter to the editor. You know, I raised 4 kids and countless other kids, and I get defensive if somebody tries to pull something on my kids. Now, I'm defensive of council. I think everyone up there is dedicated to the city of Elyria, every one of you. And the way that this second letter reads, it's like you're all a bunch of actors playing a part. This is no Shakespearean play, Mr. Lippian. This is real life. These are real people that don't have to be here every month, plus their committee meetings, plus being available to different constituents in their wards or the city. I should not have to call council at large to find out the answers to those simple questions that I asked. Don't degrade my city council. By doing that, you're degrading my whole city. Now, maybe a lot of people don't travel as much as I do, but I see it, and I know that our city is a good place. Yes, I will shut up. But I know our city is a good place. I'll continue to respect it. I'll continue to fight for it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Radke, for coming up. Mr. Lippi, you can have a quick rebuttal.
Not really a rebuttal, I just want to fill in some information. First of all, thank you, Ms. Radke, for speaking. Just wanted to mention, in response to your health issues, I hope you're feeling better. I understand what health issues are like, because I myself just got out of surgery, and that is why your councilman has not yet responded to your message. But I understand you have an urgent need to get some of these questions answered, so understand, please, that I've been mending as well, and I am a human with limitations and a family that needs me, and I will get to your message, if not tonight, tomorrow, and I hope that will be satisfactory to you. Yes, and in addition, Park Avenue is getting done. It's on the list that we're passing today. So I just wanted to make sure I correct that. And yeah, I'm one of the people that sits up here. I'm part of council, and it's not meant as an act of derision. It's just dispelling a little tension with some humor. I think that can be healthy sometimes. So thank you. And I think, Miss, did you want to say something?
No, I think,
No, she had, I think she was raising her hand. She wanted to say something.
I don't know if we have her on the list to
She's
speak.
not on the list, yeah, we don't.
Yeah, if it's all right.
Come on up and speak if you'd like for, please state your name and address for the record. This is kind of, you gotta, it's a protocol for those who are in the audience now, come up and sign up prior to council that we have people who want to speak in regards to their concerns for the city. So if you please, state your name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening. I want to thank you for letting me speak here. My name is Cam Roadhamel, 133 Harvard Avenue, Elyria. I have some safety concerns, and the one, and this is not only my own, but it's others that I've talked to from throughout Elyria. When you go over by the hospital on East River, you take your life in hand because you're dodging pedestrians that are basically jaywalking. They think that they don't have to use the crosswalks. You slam your brakes on to let them go, there's a potential accident for someone rear-ending you. And different ones have said, can't they put another crosswalk in there? But again, will they use it? Who knows, because most people are lazy and they don't want to walk any further than they have to. But that is a safety concern. I've seen it grow over the years, especially during visiting hours. The next safety concern is Chestnut Commons. If you are going west on Chestnut Ridge and trying to make a left-hand turn into Sheetz or Aldi's, good luck. There's no turn signal. I've called and talked to safety service director who directed me to, sorry, I don't know her name. She says, I agree with you, but whoever's in charge of it doesn't think it's a concern. But with the additional housing, et cetera, going in on Chestnut Ridge, et cetera, it's going to be a real cluster. There are going to be more accidents. There's even one there last week. Someone made a right-hand turn onto Chestnut from Sheetz, where there was a left-hand turn with the turn signal from them onto Chestnut. But it's beyond ridiculous that you have to take your life in hand in order to go in there. The third concern is the motorcycles and loud cars. When you can hear a motorcycle or a car 2 to 3 blocks away, this is ridiculous. According to the state revised codes, section 4513.221, a car is 70 decibels below 35 miles an hour. A motorcycle is 82 decibels for 35 miles an hour or less. And when they're coming down a side street, like on Harvard, I heard one that had to be somewhere around Princeton, roaring down. They came roaring down our street. I was inside. It sounded like it was inside the house. This is ridiculous. This is also going and hurting, especially children's hearing. I'm a nurse, and I know the ramifications. I have a hearing loss also because of I'm also a combat nurse. I was in Saudi Arabia during the Gulf War, so I know what can happen with these loud noises, but it's getting ridiculous. But I do want to also thank the police department for helping to get rid of our neighborhood terrorists. At least it's there. He at least is slowed down. Occasionally, he still goes fairly fast. But thank you, I appreciate it. But again, I want to thank council, and hopefully you will do something to help expedite a safety issue there by the hospital, because someone is going to get hurt.
I would say that we are looking into that as our part of our 2025 road program. I would ask that maybe you could speak with Engineer Schneider. He can kind of shed a little bit more light on what's going to be happening over there in regards to in front of the hospital, okay?
It's appreciated, and these comments are not just my own, but they're from different ones, and especially the one on Chestnut Commons are from residents of North Ridgeville, Eaton Township, and Grafton.
Very good, thank you.
So, thank you.
That's all the petitions from the lobby.
Petitions and remonstrances from council members.
There are none.
Reports of standing and special committees.
There are none.
Resolutions, first reading.
Sponsored by rules, a resolution approving the appointment of a new member to the Elyria Bicycle Advisory Committee in accordance with Chapter 182 of the Elyria Codified Ordinances and declared an emergency.
Mr. Sierra.
I ask that this motion be passed on its first reading
Second.
There's a.
under suspension of rules
And declared an emergency.
and declare an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Callahan. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Questions have been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution 2025-28. That's all resolutions first reading.
Resolutions, second reading.
There are none.
Resolutions, third reading.
There are none.
Ordinances, first reading.
Sponsored by Community Development, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for construction of the new Public Works Complex project and declared an emergency.
Mr. Schneider?
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-92. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the Finance Director to create a new capital project fund.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-93. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the waiver of permit fees related to the construction of the new Central Maintenance Public Works Complex located on city-owned property, Elyria, Ohio, and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-94. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a real property purchase agreement for the sale and conveyance of vacant lots on Woodford Avenue, Elyria, Ohio, 44035, and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-95.
Mr. President,
Yes,
items 6 and 7, I'd recuse myself.
very good. Thank you for the record.
Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing updated wages for certain non-bargaining Chapter 165 positions and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I would ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any discussion? Ms.
Question.
Sawerka? Ms. Sawerka?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make a brief comment. I know firsthand the dedication and the commitment of these employees of Chapter 165, but I cannot vote for this tonight on either ordinance because I believe that their salaries should be adjusted based on the market research and data that we are waiting on for the salary study. It needs to be reviewed by the experts, not just an arbitrary number. So I cannot, at this time, support this. I'll be happy to support the salary ordinance when it comes back from the salary study. But I am not against this because these people don't deserve something. They do deserve to be adjusted and reviewed, and they should match the market rate for their particular responsibilities. And so that's my reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worker. Is there any further discussion?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
We have one nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-96. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2021-73 to address the 3% wage increase for certain non-bargaining classified and unclassified Chapter 165 employees and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-97. Yeah. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2025-37, known as the 2025 Permanent Appropriations Ordinance, to change funds in various accounts.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-98. Sponsored by Community Development and Finance. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the State of Ohio Development Services Agency and accept, if offered, the Plan Year 2025 Community Housing Impact and Preservation CHIP funds and declare an emergency.
Mr. Schneider.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tolet. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-99. Sponsored by Utilities. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the 2025 street resurfacing project and declare an emergency.
Ms. Mitchell.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed on its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Mr. Armstrong. Is there any further discussion? On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2025-100. That's all ordinances first reading.
Ordinances second reading.
There are none.
Ordinances third reading.
There are none.
Committee calls.
Community Development requests the Law Director, Safety Service Director, Building Inspector, and Engineer on Monday, 6/9, beginning at 6 p.m. Joint CD Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Monday, 6/9, immediately following the CD. Finance requests the Mayor, Law Director, Finance Director, Safety Service Director, and Engineer on Monday, 6/9, immediately following the joint. Strategic Planning requests the Mayor, Safety Service Director, Finance Director, and Law Director on Monday, 7/7, immediately following full council meeting. There's no utilities.
Because all that work was done to those streets, Ms. Mitchell. Nice job. Miscellaneous and unfinished business. So I will make reference, and I'll go to Ms. Mitchell. Again, the mayor made some comments in regards to a meeting for June the 30th. Was that correct?
Yes, Mr. President.
At 6 o'clock is what we're gearing for. So please check your schedules and please inform the clerk's office if you're able to make that. That would be here in council chambers at 6 p.m.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay. Mr. Lippian?
Through you, Mr. President. Oh, Mr.
Just a
Clerk.
quick question. Will that be a strategic planning meeting?
That would be a strategic planning meeting for that. So,
Thank you.
But we'll get confirmation once we hear back from all the council members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lippian?
Through you, Mr. President, I just would be remiss if I did not also thank the Lorain County Veterans Services Organization, who put on the ceremony and had a big part to do with the ceremony for Harlan P. Chapman, as well as VFW Post 1079. So just didn't want to forget those and everybody else that contributed. It was a great ceremony.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Mr. President, just piggyback off the event that Mr. Lippian has talked about. I also want to send kudos to Ms. Director Polanowski, because until that day happened, I didn't know such a good singer he was. So I'm very impressed on his singing skills. So if you want to sing us a song on the way out here, that'd be great. Thank you.
Very good. Hearing anything, Ms. Mitchell?
Mr. President, seeing nothing else, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. This meeting's adjourned.
Hands in the streets.